So coming up in this episode, a company tries to poach one of our customers without permission and condemns all the extinguishers wrongly. I do a fire alarm service at a HMO and then get really worried by what else I find. And I turn up to a children's nursery to find a fire alarm that's been serviced every 6 months and has horrendous regulation faults. This is Amp5 Vlog episode 8. -4 degrees now. It was -3, it's now -4. The sun is gorgeous, but it is very cold, and I've had to take a detour because one of the roads is closed. There's like a dip and it fills with water. It's been flooded and I suspect it's icy. I wasn't going to go that way anyway because I didn't fancy wading through it. It's always gets a bit deep, so I don't quite fancy going through that way when the roads are flooded, but we're going this way down the lovely country lanes. I've got about 4 or 5 jobs to do today, a few interesting ones, a few extinguisher jobs. We're on the way to a pub at the minute, and then we've got like a HMO to do later. I think it's a HMO. It's the letting agency that gives us a lot of these residential ones, and some have been flats, some have been, most of them have been sort of HMOs, house of multiple occupancies, little things like that. And there's been quite an array of different types and quality, put it that way. So we will see what we come across there. Just interesting, very quickly, I've moved one of the videos forward. So episode 3 I put forward last night because I've kind of got ahead of editing. I think this will be episode 7 or 8 now. I'm on now, I don't know. It depends how I'm editing. I've split some of them because they were getting quite long, but you're leaving your comments, which is good, and people are sort of saying they've wanted some stuff like this, and you work in the industry and everything, and that's really cool. What I would be interested to know is what people think about the actual length of each video. If you could let me know. On my other channel, my mountain bike channel, I'm always sort of getting feedback off people that watch all the time. Just got to be careful around here because it's quite icy. Oh god, look at that sun. I get feedback off people all the time about the video content, but also it's the subject matter in that as well. So just let me know what you guys think, in particular like with the length of the videos, but also with what I'm doing and stuff as well. And then I'm going to try and obviously continue to improve it. This is very much the beginning. I did a few videos years ago where I just chucked some stuff up and messed about a little bit, but never really did it properly. Oh, this is really icy, and I don't want to pull out because if I pull out someone, it's a really dodgy corner. Way slippy. I'm customers now. I chucked a few up ages ago and never really took it seriously, but now I'm kind of doing it regular and doing it like this. I think it's a little bit easier to maintain and to keep the consistency going. God, that is so bright. So I'm coming to pull into the customer's yard now. Oh god, it gets tight and I can't see. Obviously these will continue to go. I've got a few other little videos I'm going to do around this as well, but yeah, just keep us posted. Let us know what you think. Do you think they need to be longer? Do you prefer longer ones? Do you prefer shorter ones? Let me know in the comments and all that sort of jazz. Anyway, here we are at the first job. It's a little country pub. This place got completely renovated a few years ago, and we put the extinguishers in. We put the extinguishers in, and we do a few other bits for this customer as well. Quite a nice little place to do. Hopefully I can get in. Sometimes I struggle with access because no one's here this early in the morning. They should be because we've got an appointment. So right, let's get in there and let's see what we're doing. I grabbed some labels out of the van because the numpties from the pat testing company have been in. I think they're just a generic facilities management company. God, that sun is bright. We had this a couple of years ago, or last year. I think we came out and all the extinguishers had been serviced and had labels put on them. Funny enough, they had the same colour labels that our labels were the previous year, which is the same again. They're the same colour from the previous year. They came out and basically done the pat test and decided to do the extinguisher test. I can't remember what had happened. I think we'd They did it early, if I remember rightly. They did it in November. They've been out and done the pattern test. Looked at the extinguishers. It looks like they've only looked at one this time. Decided to put a corrective action label on it to say that it was due its test because it's 2012 and they're 2024 it's overdue its test. What they've not realised is it's a refurbished unit, and if they looked at the stamp on the neck, it's actually 2017. So, Muppets. So it doesn't need corrective action, doesn't need swapping out yet. This place hasn't even been refurbished more than 10 years. So, fucking idiots. They've got like anti-tear stickers on the corrective action labels. So yeah, so that's what I was saying. They came out last year, I think it was, or the year before, and they're just only here to do the pat testing. They obviously do a bit of everything, but they took it upon themselves to do the extinguishers. I don't know why, whether it was a mess up in the office or something. They weren't due, and they should have noticed they weren't due, but they did all the extinguishers anyway, and subsequently tried to invoice the customer, but the customer was like, no, we don't use you, so they rang us up. It all kicked off a little bit, and I'm pretty sure he was going to sack them off altogether, because we said, well, we do pat testing. So it was one of those situations where your overzealous engineers, probably on commission, I might add, has thought an opportunity to do a little bit of extra work and earn some extra money, but potentially has lost him like an entire client. So anyway, because the labels they use are tear off ones, it's fucking a nightmare trying to get them off. So I'm just going to stick over them with one of our bigger labels. It's going to look dog shit, but at least if anybody doesn't read it, it says corrective action, it just doesn't cause any issues. What fucking idiots. This is that outdoor shed, sort of kitchen area, bar area. In the summer this gets used as an outdoor bar. They've got like pizza ovens and just basically fridges and stuff out there. At the minute it's just after Christmas, so it's all stored, but there's a couple of extinguishers in here. So restaurant, pub, 2 floors, so extinguishers on the top floor. That we've got an A-class and a CO2. It's got the wet chemical. You might in here there's just a foam and a CO2. Quite interesting. So that pat testing company haven't been in here, look. Quite interesting. Haven't put their stickers on these ones. It just shows you see, because they're not the official company and they've not been asked to do it, they've just took it upon themselves. They've only done the ones in the main pub, the ones that they could see. They didn't know about a couple that were in the kitchen. They didn't know about the ones out here. So it just goes to show you. Sort of decent sized country pub. 2 floors to it, commercial kitchen and an outdoor area, including like little bars area. So it's got full cover, as it should do in this situation. We've got a commercial kitchen. We've got people living on site as well. We don't do the alarm. We never have done. It's always been done by the electricians, I think, that installed it. But it's got a fire alarm, full fire alarm system, full emergency light system. We just look after the extinguishers there. But it's got full cover. So it's got 2 A-class extinguishers on the ground floor, which are 2 foams and 2 CO2s. On the top floor, it's got a single foam, but the wet chemical also classes as an A-class extinguisher. So that wet chemical gives them that 2 A-class rating per floor. And obviously you need the wet chemical for the commercial kitchen as well. Also inside the kitchen is a large commercially rated fire blanket. So, and then outside is that other sort of bar / food prep area. And then in the summer that gets used, like you say, there's pizza ovens, and they use that as a bit of a food area and a bit of an outside area. So we've just gone for 2 extinguishers there, a 6-litre foam and a 2k CO2, which covers that area nicely. And yeah, typical, like it's about as bang on as you want that, really. I wouldn't want any less cover. Fewer extinguishers would be bad. I think in that environment, because of what they do, because of the nature of the building and all that sort of stuff, we want to go to pretty much bang on cover. You don't want any more than that. You could argue that you could have one less CO2 downstairs, but in that environment, it's hard to probably show on the video, but just how the layout of the building is, there's an exit to the front and there's an exit to the rear. Most people use the rear exit, but in the event of a fire, I think most people would probably be evacuated out the front exit. So people come and go in the rear one from the car park, but they probably would leave via the front one or be ushered out the front one in an emergency. So if you've got a fire extinguisher point in that situation and you've got sort of 60 to 100 people in there, I'd say, at any one time, especially at busy times like Christmas and things like that, weekends, you just want the correct extinguishers on the evacuation route. So the theory would be, and the sort of sense of the regulations are, that in the event of a fire, you want to raise the alarm, you go to where the extinguishers is on the exit, it's on the way. If you grab an extinguisher, you press the break glass point, sets the alarm off, people evacuate, you grab an extinguisher, you try to tackle the fire, you've got yourself between you and the exit then, so then if the fire overwhelms you, you can still get out the building, and that's the crux of it for people that aren't watching. Obviously, if you're an engineer and you're watching this, then you'll appreciate that. You'll already know that. So I'm off to another job now. They're like a finishing company. They got like acid tanks and dips and stuff. I only popped out and saw them. We did their risk assessment towards the back end of last year, and I can't remember. I think we finalised it. We sent it across. That was a really quick in and out. All those extinguishers are pretty new. I think like the oldest one's like 2 or 3 years old. We put a couple of new ones in last year by the looks of it. Right, I'm off to a new customer now. It's a new pet shop that's opened in a village just down here. And what I can gather, it's a new pet shop, and they've I'm not sure if he said he'd got extinguishers and they're out of date or something, whether he's took on the shop, whatever. I don't really know what I'm going into. So we're going to go and have a look at that. I'm not sure if we're looking at other stuff here as well, if we're going to be looking at the alarm, emergency lights and other stuff. So I've got a feeling, usually what happens with new businesses like this, when they're brand new and they've not really had a business before or whatever, they go, oh, we've just started a business and we've got a shop, we need the extinguishers doing. It tends to end up being everything, because what they do is they know, they can see the extinguishers there, but they don't know about any of the other stuff, and so we end up having a chat. So we'll go and do that and see how we get on. Right then, just back at the van. So it's just a small unit. It's got 2 extinguishers in there already. It's got a powder that's going to have to come out, just a crappy like residential powder, 1K, like the sort of thing you get in a caravan. The extinguishers that are in have never been serviced, been put in 2017. So we've got one to swap out on a refurb, but the CO2. Now it's always a bit tricky because they've still got the transport tags on. So these have obviously never been commissioned. So you have to use your experience a little bit here, I find. You have to use your experience, weigh them, and kind of use your best judgment. If you weigh them and everything's, you know, as the weight that would have been out of the factory, I mean, it's one of those, isn't it? It's like, what do you do? If it's obviously if it's underweight, it's underweight. So you just have to use your experience, really. In theory, I mean, it's like anything, isn't it? They should be commissioned straight away. But it is what it is. So 2017, they've been sat there unserviced, unchecked. This guy's only moved in the last few weeks, started a new business, and obviously done the right thing and got somebody in to have a look at the extinguishers. There's a few other little bits and bobs. There's no fire alarm, but there is emergency lights. So I think we'll just give them some general advice and go from there. I'll show you something. So this is an extinguisher, this one here. Hasn't been commissioned. Let me show you something. This is the, just hand tight. So that horn, that would have come off, that would have been separate in the box. Someone's put it on, but they've just screwed it on with their hand tight. So you come to use that, is it going to work? Not likely. The powder that's in there, so the fire blanket in the kitchen will be the right thing to do rather than that powder. The powder's long out of date anyway and they don't really need it, and it's not really suitable. Those little 1k powders are crap. Those kiddie extinguishers, kiddie brand, they're just rubbish. The amount that I have had actually properly fail, someone's gone to use them, they don't work. Plastic handles, plastic triggers, they're just garbage. I always call them like a domestic brand. They're for people that buy cheap things from B&Q, from Halfords, stick them under the kitchen sink in case, you know, in the house. But even then, I just would not recommend it. I'd say you're much better off having a proper extinguisher in your garage or something somewhere, like outside in your shed, like a big one or something that you could run and grab in an emergency. Anyway, if you wanted one in your house, you know, it's always useful to have those sorts of things. So I've got to go back. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Very small shop. It's got a few little side rooms, but nothing to shout home about. All pretty much contained. It's like a small little hut building. So right, we're off to do this flat now. It's a fire alarm service, and I've got to call him when I was on. So I'm going to give him a ring now, let him know we are en route, and see if we can get access. Because I've got a feeling this is one that we haven't been able to get access to. It's a HMO. Don't think I've been here before, I'm not sure. Twin flex panel, crap. But it's got power to it. It's got the right isolation. So we'll just start on, we're going to look at the panel first, have a look, see what's with that. It looks really familiar, but according to the information when we booked it in, we tried to come out last time, we couldn't get in, and I remember turning up here and I remember not being able to get in. These all properties are very similar and they all kind of turn into one, but in desperate need of a fire risk assessment. Some really obvious things jumping out at me straight away. Gaps around doors, things propped open, that's not a correct fire door. So yeah, let's do the alarm. We're here to do the alarm. We're not down to do the emergency lights, but we usually do it at the same time. But yeah, let's see how we get on. So this is a letting agent. They obviously got a lot of landlords. I mean, I've seen worse. Just look at this fire door. Sorry, fire door. Now we're not here to do fire doors or a risk assessment. But look how big that gap is. That is massive. It's a huge gap. Massive gap there. It's just absolutely nowhere near compliant in a kitchen. It's got a heat detector up there. We've got two gas hobs side by side. Fire extinguisher down here. We have got a thumb lock. Like now, I'm not here to do a fire risk assessment, but if I was doing a fire risk assessment, this place would give me nightmares. Look at these extension lead sockets behind. Look at all this. All these electrics here. So, been pat tested. Great. I want to see that on a fuse spur. I don't want to see that on a plug. That's, I'm assuming, for the cooker. So it looks like the cooker
Or maybe not, maybe that is. So it's an extension lead that goes behind the cooker. Just not safe, just not safe. So here, even though we're just doing the fire alarm, we're doing nothing else. I mean, look, like washing machine, tumble dryers, fridge, like stacked on top, stacked. You know, accumulation of combustible materials everywhere. Let's have a quick look out the back here. So, is there an actual exit out the back? Oh, it's a gate, so it's locked. So yeah, you can get out with a thumb lock, but then the gate's locked. There's no signage. So it's quite dark in here. I don't know if you can see that. That is a bicycle. Just come over here. But it's not just any bicycle. It's an e-bike with a lithium battery. So that is, it's not a factory-made e-bike as well. It's just a Halfords Carrera. So you can tell by looking at the rear hub. It's got a hub motor. And this is the battery pack. So it's a DIY converted e-bike, which is just about as dangerous as it comes. Being stored in here, obviously that's being charged in the building. That's that one done. All done and dusted. The actual alarm works okay, but I'm actually going to get the laptop out now in the van and do the cert for this one, because there's a lot of things. Because I'm going to need the laptop out, because I'm going to sit and properly type up all the things that I've spotted in that. I'm almost going to give them a mini risk assessment on the fire alarm cert, just pointing out a number of things that I found that would be major concerns if we did a risk assessment, and just say, you guys need a risk assessment as soon as possible. Also, there's 5 rooms there, and as soon as you meet 5 tenants, so they've got 5 rooms, regardless if one's empty or not, that means it's a 5 tenanted HMO in my point of view, and so that should be licensed. So I don't know how they're getting their license. So this is a nursery, kids nursery, so for obvious reasons I'm going to have to be very careful about what I film. I can't just go in and film. I mean, I'm very careful anyway. So this might just be a bit more descriptive, because I would like to the whole point of these videos is I want to show as many different types of businesses, different sites, different buildings as possible. So this is like a typical, this is a house that's been converted over the years, and it's a limited company, and these guys took on the limited company a few years ago. So I'll see what I can do, what we can show, what we can't, but obviously we've got to be careful. Even though we're all DBS checked and all that sort of stuff, I'm not putting, I've just got to be careful. I'm not going to start filming, obviously. Right, just been doing the alarm. So it has only got manual core points. Realistically, it should have detection. There is detection in there, but it's domestic. Now, what's interesting is they had the fire brigade come out. This is a classic one. So fire brigade, this is going to be really interesting. Well, it's really awkward because they are nice, and I think we've got a good, they can see we're credible, and I'm giving them some really good honest advice and sort of walking them through everything. But effectively, they've got an old company that's effectively just a pack testing company. I've seen them before. They're not got, the engineer hasn't picked up anything. They haven't mentioned, the engineer has been testing this alarm every 6 months apparently, and they haven't once picked up on the fact that the power supply to it is the incorrect power supply. So that fuse spur, incorrect fuse spur, isn't correct. It's also got twin and earth, classic twin and earth power to it. So I'm going to pop that trunking off in a minute, and I'm going to hope, well, let's be honest, it's not, is it? Because if it's not, no, it won't be in the trunking either. It'll be in the, so let's be honest, that twin and earth that's going into the panel from the fuse spur is going to be running all the way back to the consumer unit. so that's going to be incorrect. The needs detection, so what's also happened as well is the fire brigade have been out. They had a carbon monoxide alarm go off, so they called the fire brigade because they're worried. So they came out, did a little fire safety visit. Fire brigade were like, oh, you need smoke alarms, your smoke alarms aren't correct. So this fire brigade supplied domestic battery operated smoke alarms and I've put them in the building. Now I can't show you because it's obviously a nursery and I don't want to film in there. I've only filmed the bit where there's no kids. But what they've done is they've put the domestic alarms, which are battery operated, about 20 mil, like literally, sorry, about 10 my words out, about 100 mil from the wall. So not only have they not told them, they can see that they've got a part 1 fire panel in there with core points, and said actually what you really need to do is get your fire alarm engineer to come out and install some detectors, and it's a conventional panel. We can put them straight into the circuit, you know, from there's manual core points, trunking going up the wall, so we could come straight off that, put a smoke detector in, we could put a heat detector in the kitchen, we could cover those areas. They haven't advised that, they've just said, here, we'll give you some free smoke alarms, Fire Angel battery operated smoke alarms. They've put them in the rooms, but they've put them so close to the wall that they're not compliant anyway. And this is a fire brigade, this is classic fire brigade. So the fire brigade are like different organisations. You get these people that come out and do these fire checks. Firefighters are brilliant. Firefighters are heroes, absolute hero people. Do not criticise firefighters. You know, if you need them, they're there for you. However, they don't understand the regulations, how fire alarms work, how these things work. But the problem is people think they do. And so when you've had the fire brigade out, it's really awkward conversation when you're going, oh, that shouldn't be there, that shouldn't be here. So and I don't want to start sounding like one of those typical contractors, you know, when you get your builder out, you're like, ooh, foot that up. You're like, when you go see the mechanic, you know, I don't want to sound like that. So this is tricky. In this situation, I think what we're going to do is we'll give them a list of things that need doing. We're going to be doing 6-month affiliates, and I think at each 6 months we'll start ticking things off the list. So it's not a massive cost, and they start working towards something. Then when we do the risk assessment and stuff, and when we start working through some of the bigger things, maybe they'll go actually just get it all done. But yeah, that's the situation we're in. So I'm going to go back in now. The batteries are okay. They need replacing next year, but the batteries were okay. And then I've got to do pack testing next.